Tyler.
Peter, how are you, sir?
Good, sir. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Before we start the chats, we're going to take a quick photo together, okay?
Okay.
All right, ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Enjoy the chats.
Wow. I'm going to try not to act like a giddy Beatles fan, like then just start screaming because I'm talking to Peter Cullen here.
Oh, where are you talking from?
Radford, Virginia.
Ah.
Absolutely. And to say I've been a fan of your work is I'm sure you've heard it before, but I've loved your work since as far back as I can remember, because your voice has been in so many cartoons I've watched and obviously films as well. And I really just wanted to take a lot of time to thank you for the what you brought into my life that I continue to revisit and want to know more and more about. Even commercial work you did that I learned over the years, like your voiceover on He-Man commercials, which I was like, holy shit, that's Peter Cullen like doing voiceover on He-Man commercials.
Jeez, wow, you've got a good ear.
Oh, I mean, well, you have a very distinct voice, and I'm like, and it just intensified just simple toy commercials or cartoon commercials that you did. I'm like, oh my god, like he needs to be doing voiceover for anything related to He-Man or just toys or it just gets me. It makes me want to watch something when you do voiceover for it.
Wow. Well, thanks for that. That's nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I really wanted to ask you a lot about your work on Predator. And I know you've explained how you came up with the sound. Did you, like when you're doing the sound itself, are you kind of in your mind coming up with the Predator's own language when he's on screen, like after a kill or when he's looking at his next prey? There's a variation of the noises you're making. And I was just curious, in your mind when you're doing that, are you kind of doing deliberate variations as to like this is the Predator's like his version of talking? Or
well, in this particular case, I was looking at film. I was looking at the film. I insisted on looking at the film, so I knew I could have in my mind every bit of help I could get, because they weren't going to show me. They just wanted me to do sounds, and they were going to pick something. I said, that's not the way I work. I create a sound depending upon what I'm looking at. So I had the opportunity to be able to see what was there. And every vision that I see offers me a selection depending upon how it affects me. And, I like anything, like music will instill a certain feeling that you have, and musicians know that really well when they're scoring a movie. They can draw out of you a certain amount of emotion and feeling. The images that I saw had a very, very strong kind of unique inspirational quality to it. If it was just a very vague, out of focus, chromatic, chromy looking thing, I could sense it. And my imagination will always, try to match a sound to something for some reason or another. I've been like that since I was a kid. And it came rather easy. So, like music, to inspire fear or to inspire intrigue or to inspire suspense of some kind, it just comes out. I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh yeah,
really confused the hell out of me.
Well, it was very effective because there's certain scenes where it's. I'm sure to some people it probably all sounds the same, but I've watched that film backwards and forwards, and I was so ashamed I didn't even know you were the one responsible for the voice until a couple of years ago.
Well, yeah.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean they added it to all the other Predator movies.
So I was going to ask you if you'd worked on Predator 2 also.
No, I only did it once.
Okay.
And they applied it to every movie since. And even, I've heard the sounds in other movies as well, other than the Predator. I don't know, it's Hollywood at its worst, when they don't give credit or they don't, even pay you, sometimes. But I had
Were you paid for Predator though? Like when you were brought in and
the first one, but they didn't pay me for the second one or the third one. We had to go to the union to force them to pay,
oh man.
which took years. But you know, they weren't talking a lot of money. But there were so many issues about that because you know there were Oscars involved. You know, for the sound effects team, the sound they won an Oscar for it. But not even a hint of a breath of acknowledgement, you know, which is, I don't care, but when it becomes, you know, repetitive, it's kind of it's bad taste.
It's to me I find that offensive as a fan to know that you were not taken care of, and you know you helped bring that character to life. I mean, as much as Kevin Peter Hall and Stan Winston's crew did, I mean, you are the voice of the Predator. So I wouldn't stop either until you were compensated for that wonderful talent you brought to the film.
Yeah, it wasn't worth fighting for after a while. You know, you can't let things like that get in your way because Hollywood is just notorious for, you know, it's the avenue of broken dreams. It's known that there's young starlets that jumped off the Hollywood sign into the hills.
Oh my God.
Hollywood, you know, just from not being able to understand Hollywood. And it's life. It's just life in the big city. It ain't, you know, all roses and goose down feathers.
Which is it's very sad to hear that, but I'm glad to know that, you know, all these years you were still, and I want to thank you so much for your time as Optimus and Ironhide. Of course, I at least have to tell you that as well, but it's I'm just very thankful that you have been so faithful to these characters, and I'm so thankful to know that you enjoy doing them, and I'm going to continue to keep enjoying them until I'm no longer on this planet. So thank you so much, Peter, for everything.
Tyler, thank you so much for those words. That means a lot to me, my friend.
And so does your voice, man. I greatly appreciate your time with me.